Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'll be your host today, Josh Ellsworth, and I'm excited today because we have a great episode where we get to visit and spend time with one of our new customers, the Barroom. And if you've been following Stahls TV at all or Stahls on YouTube, you've probably learned a little bit about the Barroom because we recently featured Crystal and her business in a series we have called the Stahls TV Blueprint. And so we've actually brought Crystal into the studio this morning. She'll be joining with me here in about 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to ask her questions about getting started with heat printing, her experiences so far, and you'll get to have a lot of fun, I think, in learning from a new business owner. But as always, we're broadcasting live here from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. If you have any questions throughout today's morning show, please feel free to chat those in, and as always, we love to hear where you're watching from. So make sure I have somebody watching from the UK. So welcome Denny from the UK, and then make sure you shout out your city, even your country, your state, where you're watching from. And some things that have been going on at Stahls, I want to make sure you haven't missed anything, so I made some quick notes here on things to walk through. Is last week we launched a new product called CAD-CUT Metallic. This is a soft, single-step heat transfer foil product that's available in silver and gold, and it's available on the Stahls website. So if you missed that, I would recommend you check that out. It gives you that adhesive plus foil look in a single step in silver and gold. Also, we've been seeing a lot of sales growth in our pressure sensitive sign vinyl. I just reviewed some of the sales reports this morning on what customers are liking and what they're buying, and we're seeing lots of good sales in our CAD-CUT silicone product that is for inhibiting dye migration, but we're seeing lots of good sales in our pressure sensitive sign vinyl as well. So if you kind of missed that, which we launched that earlier part of this year, I'd recommend you check that out. I know traffic was good at the NNEP Nashville show, so we appreciate all of those that stopped out to see one of our Stahls TV classes there. Jenna was speaking there this past end of the week and weekend. And if you joined us live in studio, Zach gave a class last week that's recorded and posted up on our Stahls Facebook page, which was all about printing shirts and designs for breast cancer awareness. So you got to experience some different products, some new patterns that we've launched that you can order now with awareness ribbons that you can customize the color to fit nearly any cause, and also heat pressing some wild side transfers. Now let's check out a little bit about what you all have been up to with our Look of the Week section. And this week I decided to pick 3 looks to share with you. So we have Suzanne Shipley Nichols' look that was posted on our Stahls Facebook page, and this is a hair bow. And what I really like about this, it's not just any hair bow that you see, but you see a personalized hair bow with the specific colorway. So in this case, the blue is actually the Grosgrain ribbon, the white is our CAD-CUT Premium Plus product, and the red, of course, you can see in the picture, is our CAD-CUT Glitter Flake. So it's really nice how a mixed media application was taken, and then tied off in the center of the bow is another little strip of CAD-CUT Glitter Flake. So we have tons of videos on Stahls TV. If you just visit the Stahls.com homepage, or you go onto YouTube/Stahls TV, you can see all those videos, and we have tutorials on how to actually create hair bows as well, so you can do this for your business if you're interested. The next look that I want to show with you is submitted from Emmanuel Vasquez Gonzalez, and this is all fashion film, believe it or not, and this is frankly impressive because I think you're looking at somewhere around, I don't know, a half a dozen colors in there of fashion film. So this takes some extreme skill, and a conversation that I noticed earlier in the week, last week actually, on our Facebook page was, how do you layer products and keep tight registration? This is an example of perfect registration, and what you would actually do here is you would tack down the background layers. Someone called it a kiss press, meaning basically you just tack it down for a couple seconds to get the background down, and so the black layer would go down first, tack down for a couple seconds, and then you line up the green and then the red, and then so on for foreground colors, all until you get to the last color, and you're going to finish that with the complete fashion film application. Now I do want to say, if you're direct layering 5, 6 colors, you may want to add a little bit of extra time to that final application just to make sure you get through all of the layers to the melting point of the adhesive, so you get good durability. But that was an awesome looking tote bag. Certainly was a one-of-a-kind item that took a lot of work. I'm not sure that you would want to run those in production, but for a one-of-a-kind item and the technique that was involved in creating that, certainly qualified for Look of the Week. And then we have a third one. So our last Look of the Week that I wanted to share with you is kind of an underserved market, I believe, by heat printing decorators in general. So Skip Dayton Davis's submission here shows something where you are reaching out to small businesses. And there are hundreds of thousands of small businesses out there in the U.S. that you can be selling into with heat printing. So heat printing in general versus screen printing makes sense for small quantities. You can see how the Campbell Welding Services design on the t-shirt, that's a screen printed transfer, I believe. And then I believe it's a fashion film application onto the hat. So Skip just specified, it was a combination of transfers and heat transfer film. And I really like this concept because it gives you an idea on how it's not just teamwear when you talk about heat printing. There are a lot of different markets that you can reach once you have a heat press, and small business wear is certainly a viable market where you can go out and generate hundreds of sales opportunities probably in your local town alone. So if you want to submit to Look of the Week, we now have two ways to do that. One is you can post them on our Facebook page. Every Saturday we have a Stahls Show and Tell where you can be inspired and inspire others by uploading a photo and sharing a look you've created. And secondly is to just tag us on Instagram at Stahls Heat Printing, and we'll make sure we review all of the potential choices and share your look for Look of the Week. And your prize is notoriety and a big thank you, and pat yourself on the back for helping others. So we always appreciate that. So we have some different people joining. I have Cleveland, I have Fort Worth, Texas. I have, it's kind of small text up there, Joe. You're challenging my eyesight today. McCammon, Idaho, I believe that says. And I think we got most of them called out that I see. So we're going to welcome someone local to us. So Crystal, if you want to come join us here. So Crystal is from the Barroom, which is a local business right here in my hometown of Uniontown. So tell our viewers, maybe they didn't see the blueprint video yet. Talk to them a little bit about your store and what you have going on there.
We have a dance retail store that has been in business for over 40 years. I recently purchased the Barroom about a year ago, and I've always had the desire to have my own heat press and to make my own designs. So I took the plunge about a month ago and purchased one, and here we are today.
Good. And Crystal came in to Stahls TV, and we were able to spend some time going through different looks and kind of what you could make with the heat press. And she actually invested in a Hotronics Fusion, so went right in with a really nice top-of-the-line heat press that will probably do everything that she could ever imagine that she would want to do in her store. Maybe we can roll some footage of in the store just to get a quick peek here and kind of walk us through. So this is inside your actual facility. And I know, what are your retail hours?
Monday through Friday, we are open 10 to 6:30. On Saturdays, we're open 10 to 4.
10 to 4, okay, excellent. And so I know it's a specialty store, so you get a lot of, well, all of your traffic is really dance specific, correct?
Specifically dance, yes.
Yeah, and so we're looking here at a bunch of different apparel styles, leotards, so you have some patterns, you have some, what do you call these, basics?
Yes.
So
yes.
basic leotards, you see some bags on the wall. So really just a nice square footage. Get a little peek at Joe if you caught him in the background there in the mirror. He made a nice little cameo appearance. Joe doesn't normally get in front of the camera, so when he does, I have to call it out. So you can see all of this inventory, all of these items, blank items that typically people walk in, they purchase blank, but now you not only have the ability to customize those, but you really wanted to purchase a heat press to start personalizing. What would you say, just t-shirts and tops and pants and a lot of different opportunities.
Right.
So talk to us about your experience so far. You've owned the machine for about a month.
Yes.
How's the experience been?
It's been an exciting experience so far. We pretty much are trying to get our routine down to how to execute everything that we want to do. Pretty much just trying to get our game plan to see what best fits for us.
Okay, and I know that you've had some success already with heat printing a variety of different items.
Yes.
And I know you brought some samples in today. I was impressed really with the like how deep you've went into like mixed media already, mixing different finishes and diving into products like CAD-CUT adhesive plus foil, which I know a lot of our even decorators have been doing this for a long time. Don't always experiment with some of the new finishes, but let's take a look at a couple of different things that you've created so far, and we'll zoom in and take a look at this. So this is. Did you come up with the sayings? Who comes up with the sayings? Because I know you have a tag team there, right?
Yes, Megan and I, we both work together, so we both, text each other different sayings when we come up with them throughout the day. We probably get on each other's nerves a little bit with that, but yeah, we just all day long we try to think of different things.
There's T-shirt ideas all around us. So
rather
than a New York state of mind, right? I'm in a
exactly.
dancing state of mind.
Yes.
I like it. And this is adhesive plus foil. And so I know that this is a more challenging application. What was your experience been like so far with the adhesive and the foil with executing these looks?
I think my challenge so far with the foil is just getting the right amount of heat down and the right amount of pressure also, so that we're not scorching the item.
Okay, so scorching becomes
an issue. Yes.
An issue. Okay.
Yes.
And so, have you been able to find that perfect mix, or are you still having some challenges?
I think we found the perfect mix. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the adhesive and foil, you're looking at 300 degrees from memory. In the first adhesive setting, you want to do a very light pressure.
Right.
Right. And then the foil, you're going to do a firmer pressure.
Yes. Number 7 pressure.
Number 7. Yeah. So there you go. So the Hotronics lines of machines actually has the number on the machine, so you can get a very specific readout for the pressure. And so when you start to get into applications like this, that is very helpful. I'm glad you found that helpful. All right, let's take a look at the next one here. Yeah, I like this one. Caught my eye particularly because this is reflective. Do you know if this is the Reflective 2 product or the 3M?
Reflective 2.
Reflective 2. Okay, so this would be a great selection for this because you're going to be able to have that high visibility finish, and you don't necessarily need the functional aspect of being good for like a roadside work crew, but it's the fashion element,
the fashion element, yes. And it matches the Sophie trademark.
Yeah, and so it's nice. So you see a lot of times marks on the garment being reflective. We see reflective trending as a big finish, and here you were able to match that well, and you went pretty close to that Sophie mark on it. So were you pretty sure it was going to match, or on the first one, like did you have that in mind when you ordered it?
Definitely. It was a complete plan, yes, to match that perfectly, yes.
And this is like a performance polyester
yes.
Tank top as well, so experimenting with some different finishes. And then the last one, which I know we have some hanging on the wall that we'll go through as well, but this is a basic leotard that you would sell in store.
Yes.
And now the ability to customize it. And
right.
So the product on that, do you remember?
This is Fashion Film.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, I was testing because, we have so many different product names and different things.
Yes.
Was that a challenge to learn them all?
It is a challenge to learn them all, yes.
Okay.
I have my little keychain with me when we make designs of all of our samples, so it helps. Okay,
excellent. So let's take a look at your first heat press experience. So we're inside of your shop here, and this was, I think this was, you heat press something in the Stahls TV studio, but this is in your back room where the heat press is set up.
Yes.
So what typically happens in this back room at the Barroom?
Typically we make costumes back there, custom costumes.
Okay, so you had a little bit of extra real estate that you could put to use.
The perfect space.
Yeah, I love the tabletop.
Yes.
You have space sort of behind me there where you can lay out all your ready to apply stuff and organize. And then here I think we're actually discussing the pressure on the machine. So all of this footage, if you want to watch it, is available on the Stahls TV YouTube page. And you can just search on YouTube for Stahls Blueprint, and Blueprint's all one word. This is actually the 4th episode of the Blueprint that we've done, the 3rd particular business that we've visited and consulted with. And then we have a part 2 of our visit to you coming up as well. So this is your first experience with the heat press. Has it gotten any easier?
It's gotten a lot easier.
Yeah,
yes.
So what are some tips that you would share that you've picked up from real life use that you would want to share with a viewer as far as using the machine?
I think some tips are just to concentrate, really pay attention to the instructions that you're given when you get the adhesives in the mail. Read everything. Just really take your time. I like to measure when I place the applique down. I'm particular about placement of the adhesives. So pretty much just really concentrate and take your time.
Okay. And the as far as the alignment, I think we're discussing that here. This is actually a two-color job that was the first shirt you printed, so starting aggressive into a multicolor finish. And this is a gold glitter flake, and I think we just bumped the application down there because of the neckline of this particular shirt. But have you had any misprints due to placement so far, with putting it on crooked or putting it too high, too low?
I had to learn how to place the piece of foil down on the garment the right side up.
Okay.
So that was, unfortunately, that's what I need to get to have a hang on.
I was just curious, when you did that, did you have a cover sheet over everything?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you saved a potentially messy situation.
Yes.
For the top of the press. So the presses are Teflon coated, but we always recommend, if you can, use a cover sheet. It's not always necessarily required for the application, but if you do make a mistake, it could save you from having a messy situation, having to clean the press. So as we're watching the footage here, walk me through some of the actual jobs or sales opportunities that you've had so far with the machine. Like, what are you creating these garments for? What's the idea?
Right now, creating the garments for the inventory in our store right now. We haven't really moved into large orders or any group orders. Right now, we're just trying to fill the store with some different merchandise.
Okay, so, and you're coming up on a pretty busy season for the store, right?
Yes, back to school season.
Okay, so stocking the shelves and being able to print your ideas nearly immediately.
Right.
And refill inventory,
yes.
Which is nice. And then after spending some time making shirts, what do you think is the part you're most excited about still for this investment?
Just the whole creative process of it. To have the idea in your head, to be able to go to the computer and design it through Stahls and get it in the mail, and then be able to produce it with the heat press, and just to have the finished product then is very exciting.
Yeah, and I think you're a pretty creative team, which always bodes well for, well, number one, making the press successful and making money with it, but also just with being unique.
Yes.
And potentially creating things that other places aren't creating.
Absolutely.
Which I think is really cool.
That's our goal as a retail store, to do that.
Yeah, and so you came up with this idea, which I think we walked in and you had these already purchased, and you're like, can we try this?
Yes.
Yeah, on the first visit. And so these are just like a standard canvas from like a Hobby Lobby or something, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, and you've actually personalized these on the heat press.
Right. With
the heat transfer vinyl, which is pretty amazing. So one-off, custom design, canvas prints that make for great decoration for a kid's room. You can think of all the different opportunities that you can do with this. So I know when you walked in here this morning, so far Crystal's business has been primarily on the heat transfer film finishes and really doing a lot of cool stuff with it. But you have a pretty big opportunity coming up every year around Christmas time, and that's the Nutcracker design.
Right.
So walk us through what that looks like.
It looks like we just try to come up with something different and innovative to make a design for the girls to have their own merchandise to celebrate the Nutcracker. Not only in this area we have our local Nutcracker, but there's so many other areas that have their own Nutcracker ballet. So just coming up with our own designs to try to put out there will be exciting.
And so the Nutcracker is, they do it locally here at the State Theater, and every year dancers from the area try out for the Nutcracker, and there's a pretty big buzz about who's in the Nutcracker.
It's very exciting. It is an exciting time of year for the area.
Yeah, and it's supported well in the community. So you, how many years have you been actually printing, like selling the Nutcracker shirts?
Actually, this will just be our second year.
The second year?
Just the
okay,
second year, yes.
Because when I walked into your store, I think it was last year, because my daughter was in the Nutcracker last year, first time. She was super pumped. And so, of course, My wife said, you have to go to the Barroom. They have the official Nutcracker apparel, and you got to pick up Madeline. We don't just need the T-shirt. We need the sweatshirt. We need the sweatpants. We need the T-shirt.
Right.
And we checked out those prints, and so you're kind of gearing up with concepts now for this coming year, which is really exciting. And so when you start to look at a place where there's quantity of orders, then you're learning about screen printed transfers and some of those other things.
Yes, we're getting into a different realm with that. So
yeah, so that's a tip.
More to learn.
Yeah, grow, take a step, take the first step, get in the game with the heat press, start making the apparel that you have sort of envisioned, but don't try to do it all at once.
Right.
I think that's one of the things I find most with apparel decorators. Some people will go in, they'll be like, I got, you know, whatever, $20,000 to spend, and they're going to max out the $20,000 spend with all of this equipment, and then you end up not really being able to master or take advantage of any of it.
Right. It's hard because you get excited to make all of this. You have all this in you that wants to come out, and that is a very big challenge, to just take your time, try to go with the budget. Yeah.
That's good. And so you don't, you started with just a heat press. You don't have a vinyl cutter yet.
No.
But when we spoke about it, I think maybe next year this time, we'll be looking at a vinyl cutter. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see. You may not want to get into it, right? Not many people get excited about weeding. I know some of you watching get excited about weeding, and you're a special kind of person for that. Okay. So any other questions coming in from the viewers? That's what I wanted to look through. So I'm glad that Jean, hopefully I got that right, finds it inspiring, which is great. Thanks for watching. We have Sean from Arizona, North Carolina, getting lots of laughs and smiles, and great. It's good. So I would encourage you to go check out the Stahls TV Blueprint episode. Watch the first edition, which is about an hour-long episode. And then after the show ends, I'm actually going to head back over to Crystal's place and answer any questions that they have going on with as far as uploading custom designs and some specifics of ordering from Stahls. But you should expect to see the next episode released. When, Joe?
Shortly.
Shortly. He's non-committal. But we have it in production, and it'll be done shortly. So thanks so much for joining us. I know our viewers always enjoy hearing a real story. So
thank you.
Let's head over to the heat press for this edition of Make It Monday. All right, continuing on with our episode here, we're going to wrap up today with a Make It Monday segment. And so for this particular Make It Monday, I've selected from our sample room a pennant sort of spirit jersey, one of these oversized billboard style jerseys. This one is kind of unique in that it has the metallic threading for the stripes along the sleeve. So it's long sleeve, which makes it perfect for the fall season that we are heading into way too early. And I'm going to be heat pressing on the Hotronix Air Fusion. And so if you're just starting out, you'll probably go with a standard Hotronix Fusion, but I know a lot of shops that like to go with the Air model if you have the room for the air compressor and don't mind the little bit of extra noise, or you have house air. The Air Fusion's great because it takes all of the guesswork out of the equation. So I'm going to start by threading on my garment. As always, we like to thread when we're heat printing, and that helps just to get the heat printing area flat. I'm going to click on my foot pedal to bring my top platen back into place, and then I'm going to complete a preheat by holding both buttons. After that's done, I'll swing the press out of the way, and we just have a very basic design that was actually ordered off of CAD-CUT templates. It says, "We don't keep calm. It's football season, go Knights." And so I'm going to separate this piece. We have a two-color design, and we'll walk you through. It's not direct layered, but it is two-color. And I'm going to start with the red. The reason why I'm starting with the red is because it's the larger of the two designs. It's going to make it a little bit easier for me to place the white as the second step. I did choose Thermo-FILM for this particular design, and one of the reasons why is because it just has a little bit thicker finish and unique texture to it. So sometimes I want the lightest weight product on the garment, but in this case I was looking for something with a little bit more of a thicker finish and more unique texture. So I'm going to practice what I preach here and use that cover sheet. and heat press the background layer down for 5 seconds. 330 degrees, I have all of my presets programmed in to this particular control board, and that was at 40 psi. And so if you have a manual press, you will have to turn the knob to get to a 4, which would be a nice equivalent to 40 psi. But if you have the air model, you can just expect that the pressure, the psi, changes when you select your preset. So it doesn't really care if you have a t-shirt loaded in, a mouse pad, a hoodie, it's going to automatically apply pressure based on what you have loaded in. Now I'm going to line up my second layer. Now you can see there's a balance here, right? Because that's really simple to place with how that's been cut, but there's also, if you're cutting your own stuff, there's a lot of waste here in between the text on the design. And so this waste all equals cost. So what I would suggest if you were cutting this, I'd probably just cut it directly stacked. We don't, it's, go nights, all in a short little stack. I'd save on half of the material, then I would trim it apart and individually place them. Takes me a couple extra seconds at the heat press, but is going to save me cost out of each design. One more tip. You can see this Mylar carrier is overlapping my background design. If you've watched us before here at Stahls TV, you know that we don't like to leave a Mylar mark on the background layer, which will happen there. So I'm going to run this for just a short dwell time of a few seconds to get that carrier sheet off. And then I will finish with a total application. This will basically limit the marking that's going to be on the background layer, and then I can finish it with a cover sheet. Now, when you're pressing matte finish materials, you don't really need to worry about the cover sheets used. But when you're pressing something like Thermo-FILM, which kind of takes the texture really nice from the cover sheet, the craft paper is going to leave a more matte finish, and I would use a non-stick cover sheet, which is actually a Teflon-based material if I wanted a high gloss finish. In this case, I'll use a craft paper because it's what I have beside me, and finish that for the full application, which in the case of Thermo-FILM is 330 degrees for 6 to 8 seconds. Perfect recipe every time, and I have a completed garment that is ready to sell. So you can see you have that nice little gloss texture to the Thermo-FILM that you're picking up on there. So very quick, very easy to create something like this for back to school season as all of the local high schools and teams start to gear back for football. This would make a perfect item that you could put into a spirit sale that's very easy to order and very easy to produce. I'm going to stop here and take a look to see if there are any questions coming in. Lots of nices and thumbs up. We always appreciate your positive feedback. And we've linked to the Barroom episode in the comments section here on Facebook. So now, if you have a little bit of time left over, I would encourage you to go check that out. As always, thanks for watching the Stahls TV Morning Show, and we'll be back with you in just a couple weeks.